Congratulations. You just inherited $100 million. You are 25 years old. Just yesterday, you lived in a one-bedroom in East Austin with a rent of $1,840. Your car is a 2017 Honda Civic with a check engine light you've been ignoring since February. Your checking account has $3,712 in it. You have $47,000 in student loans from a master's in anthropology you finished 2 years ago and have not used once. You applied to 61 jobs last quarter of the year. You heard back from 4 only to receive the automatic bot rejection. You were planning to move to a cheaper apartment at the end of the lease. You've been eating the same rotation of meals for 6 months. Rice, eggs, the store-brand pasta. You told your mother on the phone last Sunday that everything was fine. And you were lying, and she knew you were lying, and neither of you said anything about it. Today, your grandfather's attorney calls you from a 212 number. His name is Richard Halberstam. His voice is calm. The kind of tone that makes you sit up straighter without knowing why. He asks if this is a good time. You say yes because you have nothing else going on. You are in bed, and it's 10:47 a.m. on a Wednesday. He tells you your grandfather has died. A man you met 4 times in your life. A man your mother stopped speaking to in 1998, for reasons she never fully explained to you. He tells you the funeral was last Thursday. You were not invited. Nobody told you he was sick. Then he tells you your grandfather has left his entire estate to you, his only grandchild. The net figure, after federal estate tax, after state tax, after legal fees, and after executor's fees, is $102.4 million. He repeats the numbers slowly, in case you misheard. You did not mishear. The call is approximately 14 minutes long. He uses words you've never needed before. Irrevocable trust. Grantor retained annuity. Step up in basis. Generation skipping transfer. Your grandfather had prepared for this for 30 years. Even before your birth, you were the plan. Nobody told you you were the plan. You hang up and sit on the edge of your bed, looking around in disbelief. The room is still the same room. The rent is still $1,840. The student loans are still $47,000. Your mother is still lying about being fine. Yet you've suddenly become a centimillionaire. You do not know what that means yet. Before we dive in, should kindly subscribe to Finance with Brooke and give this video a thumbs up if you find it valuable, because value is what I intend to bring on this channel. Now, unfortunately, the $100 million is not in your account. It is locked inside something called a trust. Your grandfather set it up in 2004, changed it in 2011, and changed it again in 2019. You are the only person it pays out to, but you cannot touch it yourself. A company called Halberstam and Pierce controls it. The lawyer, Richard, is the boss of that company. They take a fee every year just for holding your money. The fee is $666,000. That is 13 times more than you made last year. You write that number on the back of a utility bill and stare at it. You ask Richard how much you can actually spend. He says the trust pays you 2% a year. That works out to $2.048 million, to split into 4 payments of $512,000. You ask if you can have the whole thing in one go. He says no. You ask why. He says because your grandfather did not want you to have it all at once. Your grandfather, a man you met 4 times in your life, is still making decisions for you from inside a coffin in upstate New York. You do not know what to do with $512,000 showing up in 90 days. You have never held more than $8,400 in your life. You walk into a Chase the next morning. You tell the banker you need an account that can hold a $500,000 deposit. He looks at how you're dressed and laughs. You say you are serious. He stops laughing and walks you into a glass office. A woman named Claire sits you down. She is 46. She has been doing this for 21 years. She asks you 3 questions. Then she tells you, Chase is the wrong bank for you. Or she sends you to her friend at J.P. Morgan Private Bank. You need $10 million to open an account there. You have 10 times that. You qualified the moment Richard hung up the phone. You still owe $47,000 in student loans for a degree in anthropology that never paid a single bill. You could wipe the loans out with one wire. You do not. Claire tells you not to. She says your loans cost you 5.2% a year, but the money inside the trust grows at 11.4% a year. So paying off the loans would actually lose you money. The math does not make sense to your old brain. Your old brain wants the debt gone, just in case. Your new brain is supposed to leave it there and let the trust grow faster than the debt. You nod like you understand. You keep the debt. This is the first decision you make as a rich person. It does not feel good. It just feels correct. And you cannot tell anyone. You open your mother's contact several times and close it. You open it again. You close it again. She stopped speaking to your grandfather in 1998 and never told you why. Telling her his money is now, your money is not a phone call. It is a bomb. You text her instead, reminding her that you are thinking of her. She says she is thinking of you, too. Neither of you mentions the funeral you were not invited to. Neither of you mentions the estate. The silence between the two of you has a shape now, and the shape is the size of $102 million. Your phone starts ringing from numbers you do not know. A real estate agent in Aspen, a yacht broker in Florida, a wealth manager at UBS, a private banker in Switzerland you did not know existed. You ask Claire how they found you. She says the estate was filed in court, and court filings are public. She says this will keep happening for 2 or 3 years. She tells you to change your number, even gives you the name of a service that hides rich people's numbers for them. It costs $4,200 a year. You say yes without thinking. Last month, $4,200 was 2 months of rent. This month, it is a phone setting. At night, you cannot sleep. You are still on the same mattress. Rent still $1,840. Honda still has the check engine light. But on your nightstand, there is a Navy folder Richard FedExed to you. 41 pages, thick. The cover page lists the number. You have read it 22 times in 9 days. The number has not changed. Your room has not changed. The only thing that has changed is you, and you cannot tell yet in which direction. At 3:14 a.m., you realize the money is not the gift. The money is the test. Yet you do not know yet what the test is asking. 6 months pass in a flash. You moved out of East Austin, not because you wanted to, but because Claire said the one-bedroom was a tax footprint problem. She used words like domicile and state residency, and you did not understand half of them, but you signed the lease she pointed at. You now live in a 2-bedroom in Miami with rent of $9,400 a month, paid directly from the trust. You picked the building because it had a doorman. The doorman's name is Luis. Luis is the only person in the city who knows your first name. You have not made a friend in 6 months. Not like you didn't try. You tried your best. You went to a rooftop bar in Brickell on a Thursday in March. You met a guy named Patrick who worked in something called structured credit. You liked him. He liked you. But he asked what you did. You said you were in between things. He asked what things. You said family stuff. He changed the subject. You went home alone. You realized on the Uber ride back that you cannot answer the most basic question a person can ask another person without lying. What do? You do not do anything. You just have. That is the first thing the money costs you. A normal answer to a normal question. Your mother stopped texting back. Not all at once. A slow fade. A reply in 3 days instead of 3 hours. Then a reply in a week. Then nothing. You called her twice in October. Both calls went to voicemail. You think she knows. But you do not know how she knows. Maybe Richard told her. Maybe a cousin told her. Maybe she always knew and was waiting to see if you would tell her yourself. You did not tell her. That is the thing she cannot forgive. Not the money, the silence. You spent $1,400 for a session with a therapist in November. A woman in a tan office with a plant in the corner. You told her about the trust, about Richard, about the 41-page Navy folder on your nightstand. She nodded a lot and wrote down some things in her fancy book. At the end of the hour, she said something strange. She said, "Most people who inherit wealth at your age describe feeling like they were handed someone else's life." The words made you uncomfortable, and so you left. You did not book a second session because you were not ready to hear the rest of that sentence. Your old friends from grad school, the ones you ate the store-brand pasta with, have stopped inviting you to things. Not because they know, because you stopped saying yes. You stopped saying yes because every time you showed up, you had to perform a version of yourself that no longer existed. You could not tell them you flew to Miami on a flight you paid for with trust income. You could not tell them you were about to buy a painting at auction. You could not tell them the advisor at J.P. Morgan called you a client of meaningful size. So you just stopped coming, and after a while, they stopped asking. That is the second thing the money costs you: friendship and the people who knew you before. Yet your net worth grew. Claire rebalanced the portfolio in May. You have 60% global equities, 20% fixed income, 10% private credit, 10% what she called alternatives. You do not fully understand alternatives. You understand that your trust is now worth $108.3 million. You made $6 million in 6 months doing nothing. Your old salary was $51,000 a year. You made 117 years of your old salary in 180 days of lying in bed. You did not celebrate. You did not tell anyone. You checked the statement once and closed the app. The third thing the money costs you is harder to name. You notice it one afternoon in a grocery store in Coral Gables. You are looking at 2 jars of pasta sauce. One is $4, one is $11. You cannot decide which one to buy. Not because you cannot afford the $11 one. You can afford every jar in the store. You can afford the store. You stand there for 4 minutes and realize you have lost the thing that used to tell you what to choose. The thing that used to be inside you, that said this one, not that one. It is gone. The money ate it. You put the $4 jar in your basket. You do not know why. You go home and you do not make pasta that night. The jar sits on your counter for 3 weeks before you throw it away. There is a word for this in the world of very rich people. Claire used it once, offhand. She said some of her long-term clients develop something called choice paralysis. She said it like it was a minor inconvenience, the way someone describes a bad back. She did not say what happens to the people who never come out of it. You sit on your balcony on a Tuesday in December. The Miami skyline is in front of you. The ocean is behind it. You are holding a glass of a wine Claire recommended. The bottle cost $340. You cannot taste the difference between this bottle and the $12 bottle you used to drink in East Austin. You are waiting to feel something that matches the view, yet you feel nothing that matches the view. Your phone is in the other room. On it are 63 unread messages from wealth managers, brokers, charities, distant cousins you have never met who now want to meet you very badly. The only person in the city who knows your first name is Luis. The trust is now worth $111.2 million. You have never been more alone in your life. 1 year after the call from Richard, you do something nobody would predict. You book a flight back to Austin. Coach, middle seat. You land at 8:47 p.m. on a Thursday in April. You take a rideshare, not a car service. You go to the old one-bedroom you used to live in. You stand across the street and look up at it. The light is on in the window. Somebody else lives there now. Some other 25-year-olds with a Honda and a check engine light and $3,712 in their account. You stand there for a long time. You think about the person who lived in that apartment a year ago, the one who ate store-brand pasta, the one whose mother still answered the phone, the one who did not know what a basis point was, or what a dynasty trust was, or what it felt like to hold a $340 bottle of wine and taste nothing. You wonder if you would trade the $111.2 million to be that person again. You stand on that sidewalk and you actually think about it. Not for a second, for 10 full minutes. And the truth is more confusing than you expected. You would not trade it, but you cannot say you are glad you did not have to. Those are two different sentences. A year ago, you would have collapsed them into one. You do not collapse them anymore. That is what the money has done to you, and it has made you able to hold two opposite things in your hand at the same time, without needing to pick. You fly home the next morning. Home is in Miami now. Home is a two-bedroom with a doorman named Luis. Home is a place where nobody calls you by your first name. You call your mother from the airport. She picks up on the fourth ring. You do not tell her about the trust. You do not tell her about Miami. You ask her how her garden is doing. She tells you the tomatoes came in early. She tells you a story about a raccoon that has been eating the okra. You listen. You do not interrupt. You stay on the phone for 38 minutes. At the end, she says she loves you. You say it back. She does not ask what you have been doing. You do not offer. The silence between you still has a shape. But the shape is smaller than it was in September. Now that is all you get. You take it. Here is what you understand now that you did not understand a year ago. Money does not change your life. Money amplifies your life. Whatever you were before the money, you become more of after the money. If you were lonely before, you will be lonelier. If you were curious before, you will become obsessive. If you did not know how to choose a jar of pasta sauce before, you will not be able to choose a house, a city, or a person to spend your life with. The money does not fix the thing inside you that was broken. It just makes the broken thing louder. Your grandfather knew this. That is why he locked the money in a trust. That is why he paid out 2% a year and not the whole pile. He was not being cruel. He was being a grandfather. And he knew that a 25-year-old who got $102 million on a Wednesday afternoon would either become something or be destroyed, and he wanted to give the becoming a chance to outrun the destroying. The trust is not a gift. The trust is a harness. You think about the 41-page Navy folder on your nightstand. You read it differently now. The legal language is no longer a wall. It is a message. A man you barely knew spent 30 years of his life designing a machine that would keep you from your worst instincts. And then he died before he could tell you that was what he was doing. He left the machine and trusted you to figure out the rest. You are still figuring it out. You will be figuring it out for the rest of your life. Here is the part that applies to you watching this. You do not need $100 million to learn the lesson this inheritance taught. The lesson is not about money. The lesson is that whoever you are right now, with the rent you pay, and the car you drive, and the account balance you check at 11:43 p.m., is the same person you will be with 10 times the money, 100 times, 1,000 times. The numbers will change. The person will not, unless you change the person first, before the money gets there. Most people wait for the money to arrive before they start becoming the version of themselves who can hold it. That is why most windfalls destroy the people who receive them. The money shows up, and the person is still the old person. And the old person cannot hold the new weight, and the weight crushes them. The trick is to become the person first. Quietly, in your one bedroom, with your $3,712 and your check engine light and your store brand pasta, while nobody is watching and nothing is at stake. So that when the call comes, if it ever comes, you are ready. And somewhere right now, in a one-bedroom in East Austin, a 25-year-old is sitting in bed at 10:47 a.m. on a Wednesday. Their checking account has $3,712 in it. Their Honda is in the parking lot with a check engine light they've been ignoring since February. Their phone is on the nightstand, screen down, on silent. A 212 number is going to call them in 9 months. They do not know that yet. They are about to find out who they are.